we're good still. I think the second that I go to Facebook is when it happens. So I'm hoping that that's true, and I just have to not go to Facebook. Guys, I am very upset right now. Super angry. Check. Check. No way. Now I'm going to be mad if it doesn't shut off, because that would mean that there's no real reason why it was happening in the first place. We're watching? Am I being viewed right now? We're good? Okay, cool. We're good. Guys, holy hell. Holy hell. All right, cool. We're good. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm going to be watching my sound meter to make sure that this doesn't go off again. Don't know why that happened. Completely random. Good to be here with you guys. As you know, there's been a lot of fuss lately about changes to Facebook's ability to track users on iOS due to iOS 14, the update to the Apple mobile operating system. At first, I responded to a few comments in this group, sort of nonchalant, just saying like, hey, like, I don't see any reason necessarily to be worried. I doubt that the worst possible rhetoric that people have conjured about this issue are going to manifest, because it never does. That would be the first time in history that it has. And if this ended up being a net negative for marketing in general, if, a year's time out from this change, it weren't the case that marketing was generally easier than it was before this change, that would also be the first time in history that that's ever happened. So I tend to think that it's not going to go down like that. It's the EOS R, Calvin. The EOS R with a Sigma 18 to 35, relatively inexpensive setup, as far as mirrorless cameras are concerned. Hope that helps. But I'm here to, basically what I did was, after giving those responses, I was like, I should probably know about the update, given that like people are coming to us for advice with Facebook advertising and whatnot. I'm more removed from like running ads these days, and I'm more like in a leadership role. But I still can get my hands dirty. And I still can crack into some documentation to find out what's going on. So I figured I'd do that last night. I read up on it. I think I've got an understanding of what's going on here. So I want to explain it to you guys as I understand it. We're going to talk about what will happen, what probably won't happen, and we're going to talk about what we still don't know and why you probably generally shouldn't worry. So first of all, what's happening? What am I talking about? Well, to understand that, we need to understand a little bit of a backstory. It used to be the case that the way that you tracked an iOS user, if you're an ad platform and you want to give your advertisers an understanding of how iOS users reacted to the ads. Did they go to your website? Did they buy something? How much did they buy? All that information was shared back and forth between Facebook and apps on your iOS device and websites using traditional means that are used in other platforms. Then Apple introduced IDFA, the ID for advertisers, which was a way that Apple could control how advertisers could actually track users across apps. And the way that they didn't do anything, there was no We'll get to that in a second. That's how mobile app advertisers can track use across multiple apps. Because I can understand if the same user watched a video on Facebook and then posted about it on Facebook, if I'm Facebook. But in order to understand if that user then went to another app and installed it or started using it, then I would need some kind of unique identifier for that person and that device. I have their user profile, but I need a way to understand who they are when they're not on my platform. And that's what the IDFA was. And I hope I'm all good here. Am I not? Sound still good? We're not frozen? Awesome. So that's what the IDFA was. Then with iOS 13, Apple introduced LAT, Limit Ad Tracking, an option in your settings of your iOS device that would allow you to opt out of giving any app your IDFA. Apple will not give the app your IDFA if you use the LAT feature, Limit Ad Tracking. Then, with iOS 14, Apple announced that they were going to change LAT, Limit Ad Tracking, which is a way to opt out of the use of the IDFA, to AAT, Approve Ad Tracking, which why does that happen? We're good there. Okay, we're good. Yeah, okay, we're good. Dude, this is so weird. I don't know why this, now I'm only on the left channel. What's going on? Oh, I know what's going on. Here, give me 1 second. I'm gonna continue. I know where we left off. So just give me 1 second, dude. I'm using the ID44 from Audient, and I normally use the ID14. I don't know why using a better version of the same device would make it that all this bullshit is happening. Or maybe I just need to restart my computer or something weird. Anyways, fitting end, you know, getting out of 2020. They just keep pulling me back in. Anyways, AAT. Apple introduced AAT for iOS 14. Or they announced that they were going to introduce it, which means you have to approve ad tracking, meaning anytime you download an app, you will be asked if you want to opt into ad tracking. And it was estimated that when this change was implemented, the amount of people who are opted in to ad tracking would go from 70 to 80% to like 10 to 15%. And obviously that scares a lot of people. Just hearing it, the amount of people who on iOS who are opted into ad tracking will go down to 15 to 10%. That's scary. Just ad hoc. Okay. Then Apple announced that they were going to hold off. They were going to wait to implement this change until early 2021. Well, where are we? We're right on the cusp, baby. So all this stuff is ramping up now. It doesn't seem like Apple's going to kick this can down the road any longer. They're going to implement AAT and deprecate the IDFA, the ID for advertisers. So that's, I mean, have I given you sufficient reason to be terrified at this point if you use online tools to build an audience and offer them stuff? Probably. You're probably scared. Here's why you shouldn't be. First of all, the IDFA was built for apps, not for websites. And the important distinction there is that if you are on your mobile phone and you download an app and you opt out of ad tracking, that app can't understand who you are when you're not using their app. Okay? Now, Facebook knows who you are without your IDFA. They don't need your IDFA to know who you are. I mean, they do when you're using Facebook, but there are other ways to tie that back to a data profile. So that's one thing. The second thing is, this isn't true for the Safari browser. If you're on your phone and you go to facebook.com or any website that has tracking on it, as long as that website is using first-party and not third-party cookies to track, they can track you all they want. There's no changes there. And they track by the mobile ID, not the IDFA, the old way of tracking. So, doesn't matter. iOS has expressed no want to limit first-party cookies on Safari yet. I'm going to leave myself a little room there. Maybe they will, who knows? But they haven't done that yet, and they've never said anything about it. They did limit third-party cookies, but that makes sense, and I won't go over why now because I've limited time. I got a few more things I got to do before Christmas starts. But what you should know is that if someone's visiting your website and you're looking to track them, you can still do that. There's nothing about the iOS 14 changes that's going to change that. All the things you were able to do you will still be able to do if only the iOS 14 changes go into effect. The Google app on iPhone, I don't know what you mean, Danny. What? If you download a Google app on your iPhone, you'll have to opt in to ad tracking just like any other app, if that's what you mean. That said, we'll talk about a couple different scenarios in a second. Oh God, I thought I lost my audio for a second. Okay, so let's talk about why there's so much fuss. A lot of the advertisers on Facebook are app advertisers. They're advertising an app that they want people to download because they get advertising revenue from it, or they have a premium version, or they're advertising something that involves an app and they want to be able to track the use in that app, or one like combination of all these, right? Facebook on mobile is still cool via the app. Yes, I don't know what you mean. Hold on, let me explain. Let me continue. So Facebook is scaring everyone, not just the mobile app developers who will be mostly impacted by this. First of all, if you're sending traffic to Audience Network, which none of us do right now. Like, if you listen to anything we say, like, we generally tell you to not worry about Audience Network, and it's kind of a crap placement for our purposes. If you're advertising to Audience Network, you're screwed because a large portion of the Audience Network is mobile apps, and you will not be able to track things that happen in those mobile apps back to your website, right? So if someone's in those mobile apps, you have no way of knowing who they are based on an external data profile. So let's say you wanted to target, a certain interest or a certain demographic. If you're using Audience Network in-app ads, you can't do that because they have no idea who's using that app. That mobile developer doesn't know. So the publishing revenue, the ad revenue for all of these mobile apps that are sponsored by ads is gonna tank. Any free mobile app on iOS is definitely going to be using some form of premium subscription if they're not already. So you're going to see like mobile apps they're not going to be free anymore by and large. There's a caveat to that, which is that Apple's probably going to start up its own more robust ad offering for mobile advertisers to advertise their apps. There's already Apple search ads. There's App Store ads and like recommended apps ads. So that's probably going to ramp up for mobile advertisers. You're going to see less mobile advertisers offering placements, offering ads, because it's just not effective. Though there are tons of people who are like, I don't need the targeting. I don't need to like them to be relevant to an interest. I have a broad-based product. I have somewhere to send them. I don't care. If I can get really cheap clicks there, then I'll do it. I don't care if there's no tracking. So that's a long story short to just say it impacts mobile app developers. It also impacts developers who are looking to use ads to get users instead of monetize their existing users by offering ads. So they won't be able to track the conversions that happen on their apps anymore unless they use a specific implementation that Apple has offered up called SKAD Network, which is like a portmanteau of ad network and the abbreviation SKD. It's pretty clunky for Apple, which is like a high design company. But anyways, SKAD Network is going to be the implementation if those mobile app advertisers want to sort of like use Facebook ads to monetize their app or whatever. So just to say that that's what's going on to Audience Network in-app ads, they're probably not going to be a whole lot of inventory, or there won't be any targeting available for them. So what's happening to mobile app advertisers? We talked about that. What's happening to optimization? Okay, this is where it gets weird. Based on what I've said so far, Safari is still all good. So whether you're on a desktop or you're on a mobile device, it doesn't matter. Going on Safari, nothing is changing. But despite that, Facebook is making a change voluntarily that is not necessitated by this change that Apple's making. So Facebook is going to change how the Pixel works, seemingly arbitrarily. I have to imagine there's something that iOS is doing that they have to do this, but maybe not. Anyways, there's a video. If you guys just look up verified domain with Facebook to prepare for iOS 14, just Google that. You'll find like 8 videos that show you how to verify your domain, your website, to prepare for what Facebook is going to do in response to. Juice. Damn it. All right, tight. We're back. I hate this. I hate when things like this go wrong with streams. Like, you can't figure out why. Anyways, okay. Someone asked, we'll be able to track people using Audience Insights with Fan Finder if peeps are using the Facebook app. We'll get to that in a second. There will be impacts to targeting. And then someone else asked, Facebook and Instagram app. Yes, because they're the same ecosystem and Facebook has a data profile about you as a user, right? So you're logging in to Facebook on this app. You're accessing your profile. So anything you do while you're logged in, Facebook knows who you are. It's you, right? They can attribute any action back to your user profile. They don't need your IDFA. And then if you then log out and log in on Instagram or whatever, your Instagram account is linked to the same data profile. So as long as you're logged in, there's no change. And if you watch a video, they know. And if you click this and that, they know. So, you know, it's not like, it's like really nothing has changed. Anyways, so where was I? Facebook is arbitrarily making a bunch of changes. You guys should all verify your domains. And I'm going to post like a standalone because this was a nightmare, but you want to go and verify your domains with Facebook because eventually you'll have to. And it's best to just get started now. So you have to verify your domain with Facebook. And I think they're saying that this is because like they need to verify who you are and they need to link one domain per ad account. One domain per pixel. You won't be able to use the pixel across multiple domains anymore. Not because of iOS 14. For some other reason. I don't know why, but it's odd. And so, yeah, as far as I understand it, that's what's going on. Furthermore, you will not be able to use any old conversion event or custom conversion event that you want to anymore because you're limited to 8 conversion events. So for most of us, we're using like lead, add to cart, initiate checkout, purchase, I can't view content. Like, what are the other 3 that you're going? I'm having trouble figuring out how I'm going to fill up 8, right? The only thing that this has an impact to is product specific tracking. So if you only want to advertise to people who have viewed a certain product's page, you can't really do that necessarily using standard events. But when you're creating audiences based off of the pixel, you can put in parameters. So it doesn't really matter as far as I understand, right? Like, so think about it like this. Some advertisers might go and put a different little custom conversion event on any page so that they know this is the audience that viewed only this page, right? Like, I'm not getting all my website visitors, I'm getting this specific page, which means something to me. And they might have like 30 or 40 of those. But they're only doing that so that they can later target the audience that was on that page, right? That's the only reason they're doing it. So they don't need a custom conversion event. They don't need any conversion event. They could just have the pixel on the page and then later go and create a custom audience that is based on they fired the pixel on my website and the URL when they did that was X. And it will give you an audience of all those people. There's no need to have multiple conversion events for each product because you can retarget based on URL parameters. That's kind of nerdy if you have no idea what I'm talking about, but those who do know what I'm talking about will be like, oh, then what? Who cares? Who gives a shit? So yeah, like Facebook's doing a lot of weird changes, but I think Facebook is using this as an excuse to push through some simplifications to ad accounts that they've been vying for a long time. They want you to stop trying to hack the algorithm because it doesn't serve advertisers. It just wastes time, and advertisers tend to complain about the use of the platform. And a lot of the bigger advertisers, the old media guys, they really don't like all of the customizability and functions. And that's why Google like sucks for us who know what's going on, because it's like, this is like built for like people who just want to hit a button, you know, like the amount of data you have access to and the relevance that it has is not as like close to the surface as it is on Facebook. And that's because it's for old media guys. They already got all the little hacky marketers, right? And now they want the old media guys. They want them to be able to set up campaigns using traditional advertising terminology, traditional considerations. So that's kind of the way that Facebook is going too, but it's not for no reason. The Facebook, ad platform machine learning is so good that it probably serves you to not try to do so many like weird things. And so I think, I might be wrong, but I think Facebook is like, oh man, iOS 14, right? Anyways, yeah, so now we got to do all these things. And it's like, wait a minute. No, you don't. There's nothing about iOS 14 that makes you do these things. But yeah, so go verify your domain. We got 8 events per, and so, okay. I do want to talk about the impacts that this has to interests, which is that Facebook won't be able to track you. If you are on the Facebook app on iOS, right, and you click an ad, Facebook can't track you where you go, even if the pixel is installed based on your IDFA. What they can do is track you based on your mobile ID. And if you've ever had your mobile ID logged by Facebook before, they don't need your IDFA. Screw your IDFA. They know that device is yours. You log into it all the time. You click ads and then all of a sudden your mobile ID ends up here. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, they can figure it out. There's like the most advanced machine learning ad platform ever developed. They'll figure it out. There's nothing about the limitations of IDFA that suggests to me that Facebook is going to have an impossible time rooting out which users are attributed to which mobile IDs based on which Facebook activity. Like, I imagine that they already have the faculties to deal with this. The reason they're making a big fuss is not because of what this will do to conversions. And I don't even think, like, a bunch of people are talking about, well, you know, if you can't track these users on these websites, that's how Facebook optimizes, right? You go and you search around for chainsaws, and all the chainsaw advertisers, their ad campaigns automatically find you because Facebook knows you've been looking around. And we've all experienced that before, right? Well, again, I don't believe that Facebook is going to have any trouble understanding who you are, you know, based on like you're logged into your user profile. Your user profile is associated with all of your website activity based on your mobile ID. I don't see any break in the chain here. I think Facebook is doing a little bit of rabble-rousing in order to scare up a mobilized, you know, storm front of friggin' advertisers to resist this change with Apple. I think they're scaring people who don't necessarily need to be scared because they need help in this war against Apple, because a large chunk of their revenue is mobile app advertisers who will be disincentivized to. Back up here. Give me one moment, guys. All right, we were so close to making it to the end. I'm gonna kill this ID 44. Anyways, I don't know why that's happening, but yeah, I think that Facebook is just kind of, I mean, rightfully pissed. But anyways, people are saying that this would damage optimization because optimization relies on their ability to understand what you've been searching. I don't see any mechanism by which that could go away. This might they. All right, cool. Tell me if this is awful, this camera audio, because this won't go out. But if it's terrible, I'll just turn back on the other one. Tell me if this audio sucks. Anyways, I'm gonna continue on. If I see someone say this audio sucks, I will try to fix it. But yeah, I feel like it sucks. I'm just like second guessing myself now. Oh, you can hear me through. Okay, cool. This is the mic. Never mind. So yeah, people are saying this. Like a bunch of people on YouTube are saying this is going to impact interests, because interests are based on your website activity, right? Facebook knows you're interested in this thing because of the websites you visit. It's like, yeah, but also because of third-party data providers like credit card companies and ticketing websites and all these other things that have data on you. And Spotify. There's tons of other things that have data on you that Facebook gets data from. It's not just websites. It's not just people who have the Pixel installed. And so that's one. So you have like, you have on-app activity, which is like what you like, what you post, all that stuff goes into what your interests are tagged as. And then you have third-party data providers. And then I'm not so sure that Facebook won't be able to understand who you are on a pixeled website. There's nothing about this that says to me that that's the case. Furthermore, people are saying it will change optimization because it optimizes to find you more people who are likely to buy your product. And those people are people who have recently made similar purchases on websites, and Facebook won't be able to see that anymore. I don't think that that's the case. I think Facebook will still be able to see that. There's nothing about the IDFA and the AAT that's going to prevent that. Nothing. If Facebook has your data profile, which has your email address, any email addresses that Facebook knows you have, your phone numbers, your name, your physical addresses, your mobile IDs that you've logged in with in the past, your IDFAs you've logged in with in the past, why wouldn't they be able to reconstruct that on the back end? Yes, Facebook does have partnerships with credit card companies, or did in the past, and they got data about your purchases to understand more about you as a user, for sure. But it's not just Facebook, it's a lot of places. A lot of places. A lot of the junk mail that you get is based on your credit card. Okay, so I don't think it's going to impact optimization nearly as much as people are saying, in nearly as short a time frame as people are saying. And by the time it does have some kind of cumulative impact, because all this like data has now gotten old and they need more new relevant data, I imagine there's going to be workarounds. There's going to be tons of different ways that Facebook can evolve to address whatever data they do lose out on, which I do not think will be nearly as much as they are making it seem like or anyone anticipates. That said, yeah, I do not think, what was I going to say? So yeah, desktop use is fine, no changes. Mobile and desktop use combined. Well, you know, you're logged into your profile, right? And when you go to visit a website, when you're logged into the Facebook app, it's your profile. Anything you do there, they know it's you. If you go to a website that has a pixel on it, Apple will give them your mobile ID, which is attached back to where? Your data profile, which also has your user profile. It's like the main thing it has, right? So same activity. So as far as I understand it, mobile use will not be impacted in terms of tracking either. It doesn't seem like that's the case logically. If you go from site to site, they both have the pixel installed, they both get your mobile ID, no problem there. If you go from an app to a site and you're not using a data profile, so you're not using your Facebook profile or your Instagram profile, that's not instantiated in that transaction, it might be the case that that site you went to can't necessarily understand who you were on this app. So they can't target you and get you off the app to this other thing. And then if you're going from app to app, like that's all IDFA. So there's nothing you can do unless Facebook has you use your user profile to log into the app, which is another thing we didn't discuss, which Facebook does all the time. So if you voluntarily use your Facebook profile to log into an app, or your Google profile to log into an app, which has your email address, which Facebook probably knows, that you can still get tracked that way. So not all app-to-app transactions will be untrackable. For some reason, Facebook is making all these changes, which aren't that bad. Like it's not for what we do, not bad at all. Doesn't matter. And then two, one thing I forgot to mention is that the conversion event windows are changing. So you will be able to view conversion events that occurred 7 days after the click, but not 28 days. If you've logged into your business manager running a conversions campaign anytime in the last year, that reality is what you were looking at because that's the default. So they're just removing something you don't even use. So it doesn't really matter. And then there's going to be like some kind of, oh yeah, you won't be able to see if someone made it to purchase during a session, you won't be able to see them in your add to carts. So like, it's only going to track the most valuable conversion or the last conversion or the biggest conversion in a hierarchy, right? So if you use Facebook app and then you click an ad to go to a website and then you look at a product, you add it to your cart and you purchase it, the looking at the product, the add to cart events, those won't be there. They won't show up in your ad performance in your business manager and your ads manager. But that doesn't, who cares? Do you care? I don't care. Do I care that I can't see that the person who purchased also added it to the cart? I'll just add the two numbers together. What are It's like they do it when I make fun of Facebook. I've switched to the camera audio for a second while I reset my friggin' interface. Dude, I'm pissed about this audio thing because this is like a really nice interface. And I'm sitting here wishing that I had a much less expensive, less feature-rich interface that's the same version because it works. Anyways, so dumb. Yeah, it's... Oh, are we back with real audio? Dope. So it seems like Facebook's making a big fuss about not a lot. Oh yeah. And then another thing is about the add to cart, about the biggest conversion event being the only one tracked. Oh yeah. It doesn't mean they don't. Here we go. There we go. Dude, Calvin, you are hilarious. I'll know next time to switch to the camera. It's like, just do the camera audio already. Jesus. It's hilarious. Okay. So this is the real audio. This is not the camera audio. Let me show you what the camera audio is like. All right, now we're on camera audio. Does this sound okay? That would have been fine. We could have avoided... Well, I hope it is really fine, because now we're there. That's where we're at. We're on the camera audio. That's it. So I hope it really is fine. Okay. Good, good. So to wrap up, this is a major impact to mobile apps and mobile app advertisers. There's no reason that anything has to change about Facebook ads when it comes to like non-mobile app advertisers. If you don't advertise to Audience Network, there's really nothing that had to change with Facebook ads. But for some reason, Facebook is making changes anyways. The only real thing you have to worry about is get your domain verified, go through the process of telling Facebook what conversion events you want to track, purchase, add to cart, initiate checkout, view content, and then like, I can't view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, purchase, and lead. And that's like, what else do you need? There's really nothing else you could possibly need. The rest of it, if you want to retarget someone based on they visited a specific page, you don't need a conversion event to do that. You just go to create a custom audience, and you type in a portion of the URL that they must have entered if they were on that page, or that they must be visiting, and it will get anyone who visited a URL that contains that. Doesn't matter if they fired a standard event. And then you can, like, if you want to understand how many people added to the cart in total, and not just those who added to the cart but didn't purchase, just add the amount of people who purchased to the amount of people who added it to cart. There's your amount of people who added it to the cart. So it's just a bunch of silly nonsense as far as I understand. I will update you guys if I learn anything when it's like, oh, I misunderstood that. That is bad. I will totally come here and tell you guys. But for right now, it's insane how these things just constantly happen. Yeah, I don't think any trainings need to be updated either, except to say that if we're telling you to use conversion events, how you do that's a little bit different. But beyond that, like, I don't think anything changes here. No, I can't imagine. Interests are going away all the time. That's just constantly the case. But that's not part of this. This is not apocalypse for most advertisers. And I do not understand why that's not made clear to people. I don't understand why Facebook is using this as an opportunity to make massive changes to how they do things. They should just make those changes. Like, I'd be fine with them. I don't care. Five conversion events. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Because the reason I use conversion events is to denote when a valuable thing has happened so that I can optimize for it. Now, oh, I see. Okay, yeah, maybe that's an issue. Like, you want to be able to optimize for an event, but you're out of events. But, like, the events that I optimize are for purchases, not for specific purchases. Purchases, hard stop. Leads, hard stop. I don't care if they go to this page and opt into a different lead page. Who cares? You know? So yeah, I think Facebook's just trying to stop people from fidgeting. You know, simpler is better. Exactly. Jay's got it right. They just want to stop people from overcomplicating things. They're just doing it in a very weird way. It's like, dude, just tell us you're doing that and then protest iOS 14. Don't bundle it in. I mean, it's a brilliant chess move because they're saying people are going to be mad because they're changing the platform, so let's direct their anger at Apple. But I don't know, dude. I'm not convinced. I don't think Apple has anything to do with those changes. And if I learn anything else, I'll come here and update you guys. I'm sorry that this was such a nightmare, technologically. I promise to figure out what's going on with my interface, and this will never happen again. But that's just a consequence of ending 2020. That's no problem, Kendall. I mean, I definitely started to think about it, and I'm a very optimistic person, so it's hard. It affects ToneDen and you. Anyways, got ahead of myself. I'm a very optimistic person. It's hard to rattle me, but I did start to think about it more than I wanted to be thinking about it. So I chased down the research, and a lot of the stuff you're going to find is from the perspective of app developers and advertisers. And then the rest of the stuff you're going to find assumes some things but doesn't back them up. Now, there's a lot we still don't know about all this, so I might very well come back here and change what I've said or update it. But a lot of these things that people are saying out there are based on what Facebook is saying, not rooted in some like obvious reality of what implementing AAT and removing IDFAs is going to cause. Like, there's no indication that that's the cause. Danny, you're asking how ToneDen and URL Genius get affected by this. Totally. So yeah, you can't pixel people off your domain, but if you're using URL Genius, the pixel occurs on your domain. So I don't think it's a problem. You're sending people to your domain, tracking the conversion there, and then sending them off to Spotify. I don't know if ToneDen has custom domains for their links, but if they do, they're good too. You can set the conversion event. Like, great, now we found a 6. Thank you, Danny. We found a 6 conversion event to fill up our 8. Now we just got to figure out 2 more, and we'll be at max capacity. But like Spotify click, right? You want to track all the people who click a link to go to Spotify or whatever, right? And you do that by basically everyone who's hit that pixel, they clicked a link to go to Spotify. So that is accurate. You do it on all your song links that are going to Spotify. And then maybe you want another one for Apple Music. And now we've got 2 of those 3 missing conversion events filled up. So I hope that helps, Danny. I hope you do understand that. And that's it, guys. That's all I've got on this one. I'm going to finish up my day. I've got like one more task to run, and then it is Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day. And then we're getting prepped for best year ever. We're resetting our workflows. And 2021 cometh, and we're going to claim it, and we're going to manipulate it into a small little ball. And then we will observe it and do what we want with it. Because not again this year. Never again. And I hope that that's been helpful, guys. Don't panic. Everything is all good. and will probably continue to be all good, if not much better. And I'll let you know if that's not the